So I got this question yesterday from one of our subscribers. My name is Tobey from Jazzmentl, and on the YouTube channel, he's basically asking about a bigger explanation of chords. Now, he's also asking me to have one of those MIDI keyboards with the notes that light up, but that's not how to really understand chords. So let me dive into the question and let me see if I can get you and everyone to understand how chords are written and what you should be looking for. So the question is, he says he's an intermediate player, he has several real books, and he can read music and play chords somewhat. But when he sees a C9, he usually plays a C7. Now that's a mistake because there's a real reason there's a C9, and because it's part of the tune. And when an arranger writes a C9 in a real book, he really wants to hear that ninth chord. But the main thing he wants to learn here is to get beyond playing the chord in the left-handed melody in the right. He wants to say, when he sees a C9 or C11, he wants to play that with both hands, and he wants to know how to play it. Get both hands involved. And he says, I hope that makes some sense. It makes total sense to me. The problem is, it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people what chords actually look like and what they do, and how to understand how to read chord symbols, which is really what you're getting at here. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to take a look at where chord symbols actually come from. And I'm going to take it right back to the very basics, even though many of you recognize that you're beyond this, but I'm just trying to provide as much help as possible. So if this is review for you, I apologize for that. But for the rest of you, this is where chords come from and how they're spelled. So if you look at a C scale, you've got 8 notes. And those notes are numbered like this. This is the 3rd note of the scale, 4th note, 5th note, 6, 7, and 8. Interestingly enough, if you kept going up and you go up another octave, you start at 8, and this is 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. And so you start to see, okay, well, where are these chord symbols coming from? So when somebody says C9, it actually means this note. When it says C11, it means that note. When it says C13, it means that note. So what you need to know is that you do not use the same notes of the scale repeated, because if you're repeating the one note, it's just 8. So you never use the number 8, and you never use the number 15. You only ever use 1. You never use 14. You never use 12. You never use 10 in a chord symbol, and you never use 8. So all you have left is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 9, 11, 13. And if you play those notes in a chord, which is tertian harmony, and you build a note in thirds, that's the 3rd note, 5th note, 7, 9, 11, 13, and if you keep going in thirds, you're back to 1, like this. So why does that sound so bad? And the answer is some of those notes are not available. For example, the 11th note is not available because it creates a flat 9 with the 3rd of the chord. It's a lot more harsh as a flat 9 than it is as a minor 2nd. That's actually less harsh than this. So you have a C with a 9 and 11. So that means it's a C major 7 with a 9th and 11, sometimes put in brackets like that. So the question that he had in his comments was, oh, I know how to play a C7. But what you need to understand is a C7 chord doesn't come from the key of C. It comes as a dominant 7th chord for the key of F. So C7 always wants to resolve to where it's going. So the 5th note of the scale, which is the dominant note, dominant 7th chord resolving to 1. And that's how you get chord symbols. You're basically counting off the notes of the scale and the upper notes, because you would never say, for example, that this is 2 and that's 4 and that's 6. We just don't do that. We call them 9, 11, 13 because they're upper structure notes. higher than the original chord, which is this. Upper structure is 9 and 13. Sorry, my mistake. That should be 13, because this note is not available. You cannot play the F note. Okay? So if he says C7, then we're now in the key of F. And so C7 is in the key of F. So if we're looking at the key of F, so we got a flat here. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? Numbered properly. And of course, this is 9. If you're going above the scale, you keep going up, right? That's 9, that's 11, and that's 13. So if you built an F chord, for example, F major 7, just like C major 7, it's like this. And then if you add the 9th and the 13th, it's there and there, like that. Now, the reader was saying, well, what's a C7 chord? Well, C7 comes from the key of F because it's the dominant fifth. It's 5 resolving to 1. And so in the key of F, if you built that chord, you've got a B flat in there. That's where the flat 7 comes from. And that's what C7 means. You don't write C flat 7 because that's the key of C flat. You want to write just 7. Just like that. That's a C7 chord. Now, if you've got a 9th and a 13th, keep going up the scale. Why is the 11th still not available? Because it creates a flat 9 with the third of the chord. So keep it out. So what you've got is a C, and again, let me just spell the whole chord. And maybe what we'll do is we'll play it down an octave like this. C, E, G, B flat, D, and A. That is a C7 with a 9th and a 13th. And that totally works. And that's how to read chord symbols. Now, if you've got a minor 7th chord, typically the minor 7th would come before the C7. So we got G minor 7th to C7, 9, 13. What are the notes that are available in a G minor chord? Which is here, starts on 2 of the chord. So you've got G, B flat, D, F, then A, then C, then E. And I can tell you, without even thinking about it, that the 13th is not available. Every other note is. So why is the 13th not available? And the answer is it's a major 7th in a minor 7th chord. It creates a major 7 with the 7th of the chord. So basically, when you clash with the 3rd and the 7th of the chord, it doesn't work in minor chords. Only the 9th and the 11th are available. So if we were to spell out again the G7 chord, or G minor 7 chord, you've got G, B flat, D, F, A, and C. So again, take off that top note. So the question was, well, how do you play those in both hands? And the answer is patterns, like this. G minor 7th with an 11th, to C7 with a 9 and 13th, to an F major 7 with a 9 and a 13th. So, but there's patterns for that. And that's a little bit beyond the explanation of this video. I'm going to do that in another video, and you can look forward to that coming soon. So as a follow-up to this video, that's what we're going to do. But that's where chord symbols come from. They're all based on the original 8 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, not the 8th note. And then when you start to repeat, it's 1, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So only 9, 11, 13, you'll ever see those in chords. Now, sometimes you'll see 6, like a C6 chord, but most of the time you'll see just 9, 11, and 13. And that's really the basics of how to read chord symbols. If you have any specific questions about that and you want to dive in a little bit further, go ahead and post your question below, just like the last reader did. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That'd be super awesome. I'll see you in another video.